Hello, 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 my reinventor tribe. Today we have an awesome guest, someone that I personally adore to pieces, someone that I call my pride and joy. I have known her for years and I have seen her reinventing yourself so a couple of times, and every time is even better than the one before. I mean, when I think that she reached her like ultimate growth because it's exploding, she just reinvents herself some more and she gets into even a higher position. And I'm gonna let you see that by yourself. So today we have Bri Seeley with us. I love her. I just love her. Love her. Just in case I didn't mention that, I love her. So Bri is here with us today. And as you know, we're doing this series of interviews with great women entrepreneurs that are activists, that have a voice, that stand for something for Women History Month. We just actually were together in a room on Clubhouse on International Women Day. So a way to find Bri is on Clubhouse as well, but I will let her also share her Instagram. And I know that she prefers DMs. So it just like, so Instagram and her website as well. Without any further ado, Bri, welcome.
Hello. It's so cool that we're having this conversation today. So this is actually my second podcast interview of the day. And I was sharing my story with the other interviewer. And he was like, how do you stay true to yourself? He's like, you've reinvented yourself so many times. Like, as you're evolving, how do you stay true to yourself with each reinvention? And it was so interesting because I was like, I feel like each reinvention isn't me changing. Mm-hmm. It's me coming even deeper into myself. So it's like, people see reinvention as like this external thing. For me, it's increasing my potency of who I am to be in this world. And it's so fascinating. I'd never seen it that way before until he asked me that question. And so I'm excited to be chatting reinvention with you because I feel like every single reinvention has just gotten me closer and closer and closer and closer to just who I am.
Absolutely. I personally see reinvention. And as you know, I started Reinvent Yourself to Greatness a couple of years ago. It's because I see our reinvention is not, like you said, it's not changing who we are. It's actually evolving to who we are. And that will never change because we have so many layers. But the more, like you said, we become more understanding who we are at the core and how authentic we can become, this is when we keep reinventing yourself. So I'm totally excited about our conversation today. I also had a young entrepreneur that I just also did a podcast interview for her like a couple of hours ago. And she's also into authenticities and all that. But it just, for me, it's obviously part of who I am. And I know it's a huge part of who you are. I mean, I admire the way that you get on video and you don't give a hoot about who's going to like what you say exactly, who's not going to like to say, and hence the name of your business. Can you share it with us?
Yeah, so I run a membership called the Unapologetic Entrepreneur. And our motto, I designed a little graphic to go with it. So it's unapologetic AF. And that's really the thing, my entrepreneurial journey has been such that the more I become myself, one, the easier it gets, and two, the better it gets. And so now I'm an entrepreneur coach. So I get to help other entrepreneurs have amazing businesses. And so much of the work is helping them become and stay true to themselves and really highlight all of the things that make them unique, because that's the stuff, we think that that's the stuff we need to hide in our businesses, that we need to like play by the rules and do the things of business, but like hide all the personal stuff or all the intricacies or the things that make us weird or unique. And I say that's all the stuff that needs to come to the forefront, because if you're looking, for me, there's hundreds of business coaches out there.
Yep.
Why would people choose one business coach over another? It's me, it's who I am. They choose to work with me over other coaches because of who I am. And if I'm being someone that's fake, or inauthentic to myself, they're buying a lie. So my job is to be authentic to myself so I can help them be authentic to themselves so that they can also build successful businesses.
Absolutely. And the conversation lately has been going, especially after the Duchess Meghan, came out with the interview with Oprah. People are starting saying, okay, that was true, that was authentic, that was genuine, but how far can we be authentic? Should we hide anything? Shouldn't we hide anything? I'll share what I feel after I hear yours, because I always respected the way you dealt with that.
Yeah. So my rule is I don't share vulnerable things when I'm in the middle of them. I wait until I'm kind of on the other side of them to share them. But I respect people that talk about like truly what's going on behind the scenes. And the reason being is because we all think that whatever we're going through, that we're the only one that's going through it.
True.
And if this wildly successful in her own right actress, who then married a prince, who then, like all these things, if she's struggling, she just gave a huge permission slip to millions of humans to be like, I'm not alone. And there's nothing wrong with me.
Yes.
And I can now reach out and get help. And, oh, my family dysfunction? No, I'm not the only one. Other people are facing family dysfunction, right? I mean, I've come out and talked about a lot of things that people, like family members of mine, have been really pissed about. And I'm like, I need to share what has gone on in my life, what has gone on within the family dynamics in my life, because I need other people to know that they're not alone and that there is a light at the end of the tunnel. I've shared very openly about the fact that I was sterilized 8-9 years ago because I don't want to have children. And I can't tell you the amount of messages I received from women saying, I have never told anyone ever that I had that procedure done. And like hearing your story made me feel less alone. Or I thought I was the only woman who didn't ever want to have children. So for me, seeing stories like that is just a giant permission slip of acceptance and compassion for everyone else in the world.
Yeah. And I can relate to the part of children. Like, I didn't go through the procedure, but I had rules for myself. In order for me, if I really want a child, I have to check all these boxes, not for anyone else, but for me, and for what I thought would be the best environment for a child to be brought to this world. I feel people that just go and get children just because they want to have children, it's a little bit about themselves rather than the children. And for me, it was about the children rather than not. And for certain reason, whenever I could have the children, I could not check all the boxes. So it wasn't fair. I felt it wasn't fair for me to bring children to the world, so I didn't. And I never felt that for me to have a child is the only way to be complete, or to have a man is the only way to be complete. I mean, thank God I met my husband like 20 years ago, and he's like we are the perfect fit for each other. But if not, I never felt that he is in my life because I want him to be in my life, like because I love him, and he's the same way, not because we need each other or it completes any of us. So thank you for sharing that. And I know that it took you, I remember the days, I remember you wrote a post for the Huffington Post, right, about that. But also you had thousands of people in different languages that came to you and told you, you go, girl.
Yeah.
I remember that.
One, sharing that truth was probably one of the most radical things that I did. And so I had the procedure in 2012. I wrote the article in 2014. And at that time, literally my mom and two of my best friends knew about it. Like, it wasn't something I talked about. My grandparents didn't know about it. And then I go and write this article. I don't know what I was thinking. Like, literally, I have no idea what I was thinking. And then all of a sudden it goes viral in English and it's featured on, I get called by the Today Show and it's featured in Elle and Vogue and all these places. And then I start getting emails in French and Spanish and German that it's being republished. And it was read on every continent. It would like all this stuff. It was terrifying, but it's been such a blessing because, I think people trust me more. Yes. Because I'm just super real and super authentic, and I just speak my truth. And because of that, the right people resonate with me, and the people that aren't meant to don't, which doesn't matter to me at the end of the day. But people trust me because I'm willing to be open, I'm willing to be vulnerable, I'm willing to be transparent. And so that's how I unapologetically live my life.
Yes, absolutely. As you know, I come from Egypt and our culture is a little bit different, and I share a lot of things about that, even that not necessarily happened to me. I mean, I was blessed to be in an open-minded family, but I saw what other women suffered and still suffering from. And I remember one day I was giving a speech in a conference, and an Egyptian woman approached me after that. And she said, "You shouldn't have said that." And I'm like, "What?" She goes, first of all, in my mind, who are you to tell me what I should and what I shouldn't, right? And she goes like, "You shouldn't have really said that." I said, "Why?" She said, "Because it's shameful. It puts us in a situation where people don't look at us the right way." And I'm like, first, people don't look at us the right way. Two, it's the truth. I told her, "Do you see it happen or it does?" And I'm like, "Yes." And I told her, until we acknowledge that it's happening, we will never be able to change it. And I believe that the more vulnerable we are, the more self-confident we are, because we don't give a flying whatever, right? This is who I am. Take me or leave me. And in both cases, I don't really care, and I know that you are the same way. So first of all, before we go further, how can people get hold of you?
So the best place, there's two best places to find me. The first is my website, which is my name, briseeley.com. And the second is Instagram, which is my name, Bri Seeley. And as Sahar mentioned, I love when people find me, especially through things like this, shoot me a DM and say, "Hey, I saw you on Sahar's podcast." I love the one thing about social media is that it's become kind of a one-way street, and I like to make it as much of a dialogue as possible. So make sure you send me a message. I want to meet you and know who you are. So
absolutely. So Instagram, Bri Seeley. Seeley is S as in Sam, EELEY, and her website also is briseeley.com. Bri, I want to ask you a question that I ask most of my, if not all of my guests. What is your definition to success, and how did you come to it?
Yeah, so I keep my definition relatively simple and kind of on purpose, because I've really simplified my life over the last several years, excessively more over the last 6 months. And the simpler my life gets, the happier I am. So really, I kind of look towards my core values to measure how successful I am in any given day or not. And so I sat down in 2016 and was like, what's really the most important to me? Like, what at the end of the day makes me feel fulfilled and feel purposeful? And so I sat down and I identified my top 3 core values, and my top core value is freedom. My next one is love, and my third one is passion. And so I really look at the end of each day, did I live my core values today? Did I live in my freedom? And for me, it's both living in my freedom and helping others, kind of like we were talking about, know their access to freedom as well. And then love, did I connect with people that excite me? Did I love myself today? Did I share love with others? And then passion, how excited was I about the things that I was doing today, the people I was connecting with, what I created? And those are kind of my measures for whether my day went well or not. and how to structure then my tomorrow.
That is awesome. Now that we're speaking about passion, a lot of people mix between passion and purpose. How would you let people understand better how you define passion and purpose?
It's interesting because I actually interviewed someone for my podcast yesterday, and he basically was like, F passion, like don't ever live by passion, only live by purpose. And for me, they're a little less black and white. I don't see them necessarily as two ends of the spectrum. I'm passionate about my purpose. My purpose is my passion. My passion is my purpose. And so I think for me, purpose is really, what am I here to do in the world? And my purpose is freedom. It really is, for myself and for others, like I mentioned. How can I help the largest amount of people create the largest amount of freedom in their lives? And then, just like I'm doing, how can they then take that and spread that, right? So that's my purpose. And then I think passion is, for me, is just like my level of excitement and alignment with that every single day. What did I do today towards my purpose that I was super passionate about? This week, I've been really blessed. Like you mentioned, on Monday was International Women's Day. And I've been blessed this week to have like the most phenomenal connections and conversations around entrepreneurship and being a woman and being successful in the world. And it excites me so much to have that. And so, this week, I'm feeling super passionate about my purpose. I'm feeling so much freedom, and I'm deeply, deeply, deeply connecting with so many people that I love. In fact, side note, I got a call from one of our mutual friends this morning. Got to have an hour jam sesh with Sarah and Isla.
Okay.
Which was not even planned or on my calendar, just such a brilliant, beautiful addition of love in my day, both receiving and giving. So that's kind of how I just like my markers every day, every week of, am I living in my purpose? Am I feeling passionate? Am I spreading love? Who am I connecting with? Those are kind of, it's not so linear. It's a little muddled, but it works.
Bri, as a great coach for entrepreneurs, either that are starting or they are scaling their business, what do you think they should expect as challenges? If you can share 3 or 4, that would be great, because I know there is a whole list, but
right.
Just the main ones.
So I will break it down I'll do 2 for people that are starting and 2 for people that are scaling. Right. So the 2 biggest ones, I think, for people that are starting is that they stay on the fence too long. What I see from a lot of entrepreneurs is that they deeply, deeply desire to be entrepreneurs, but taking those steps to actually move forward is very arduous. It's like they get so caught up in the mental trappings of, is this going to be successful? Can I do this? And they don't set themselves up for success. So the other thing I would say with that is, my second kind of tip is you cannot do this alone, especially at the beginning. You can Google all you want, but at the end of the day, if you don't have people on your side cheering you on, helping you, supporting you, encouraging you, actually digesting the information from Google to see how it applies to you and how you're going to move forward with it, it is almost impossible to successfully start a business alone. So that's one of the reasons, 1, that I do what I do, and 2, why I am super passionate about communities. I've gotten rid of private coaching. All of my coaching now is done in groups and communities, because entrepreneurship is not something we can do alone. And that is a tip for all entrepreneurs, whether you are starting, whether you're scaling, whether you're already there, none of us can do this alone. And so then in terms of entrepreneurs that are scaling, I think one of the biggest traps that I see them fall into is that they get into the, such and such an expert / guru told me that if I just take these 5 steps, I'm going to be successful. It's not true.
That's
It's a clever marketing trick to like get your money.
Yeah.
So the way that I teach entrepreneurship is to choose your own adventure. And there are no 5 guaranteed steps that will get everyone to the same destination. And I will tell you that because I used to fall into that trap and it didn't work. I wasted a lot of money buying a lot of proven systems that weren't so proven because they didn't work for me. So, you know, my accelerator course that I teach for entrepreneurs is very much like, here's all of the options. Like if you're at a buffet, here's the entire buffet. Well, you don't want to eat the entire buffet. You're going to get sick. You want to figure out what's aligned with my diet, what's aligned with my digestive system, you know, what's going to taste really good, what do I want to try? And you do those things, but you don't load the entire buffet onto your plate. So, you know, I am much more about purposeful, focused strategies rather than the templated strategies or rather than trying to implement all of the strategies. And then again, similarly, I'd say the biggest opportunity I think for solopreneurs is that you need to have people on your side. You know, having been a solopreneur, I know that again, it's really easy to be like, well, I know so much, I can do it myself. You have to.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Absolutely. Wow.
Giving Sahar a plug, she has been a huge supporter for me throughout my entrepreneurial journey since I think we met in 2014. And like, there are days when I am just paralyzed by everything that's on my plate, my vision, all this stuff. And Sahar has been one on my journey that continually reminds me why I'm here, what I'm capable of, and how to take the next step so that I can keep moving forward. So even me, I can't do this alone. I don't think anyone.
Absolutely. And no one can do it alone, but you always had that twinkle in your eyes that from the very first day, and you remember that, the very first day I met you, I knew you were destined for greatness. I just knew, you know, and sometimes I go more like you with the intentions and with the instance that we have, especially when we coach people, just like, what do you feel about them? And for you, just like I always saw that you were just destined for greatness. And now I can see why I saw that twinkle. So thank you for sharing those challenges. I usually ask my guest at the end to share some pearls of wisdom with, you know, my tribe is called reinventors. There are people that are going through life, you know, that they are going through the motion of maybe finding who they are, where their fears maybe or the limiting beliefs is keeping them somewhere rather than just expand and become themselves. And a big part of them is that, like you said, in a very eloquent way, is that they feel that they have to do everything by themselves. And they feel like, oh, I don't have the money. I don't have the money. It's the scarcity mindset where I don't have the money, so I cannot spend it. But they don't understand is like you're saving money, hiring or outsourcing someone, you know, that can do that for you so you can expand. You need to spend money to make money, you know, and they don't understand, oh, hiring a coach is like, it instills fear in people because, oh, it's going to be a lot of money that I can't afford it. Even before they think, though we both know that a coach actually makes it shorter for you, you know, makes you accountable, and it's actually the ROI on it is great. And that's not by any means a plug for advertising, but this is the truth, you know, on what we do.
I just released an episode. So it would have gotten released March 9th called The Cost of DIY. So a lot of people think like, oh, well, if I'm just Googling it, if I'm just doing it myself, it doesn't cost me anything. It's free. That's a lie.
It is.
And I go in the episodes, like literally breaking down the numbers. If you are working 20 hours a week in your business and you are DIYing it 20 hours a week in your business, it is costing you $96,000 a year.
Yeah.
And that's assuming that your rate is $100 an hour, right? I know you and me, our rates are way above $100 an hour.
Exactly.
So that for us is like, that's costing us even more, right? And so a lot of people think like, oh, why would I ever pay $20,000 for a coach? I can just do it myself. No, you can't. And it's actually costing you more to try to do it yourself than it would if you invested in getting the help and shortcutting. It literally costs less to hire a coach than it does to DIY it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I guess this is one of the biggest myths that exists. Like, I don't have the money. And again, it comes back to the scarcity mindset. So what words of wisdom, or what is something that you live with, you live by day, or a quote or something that you believe in that you can share with my tribe today?
So one thing I'll say, and we didn't even get into my story of reinvention, but I started my entrepreneurial journey as a fashion designer, and 6 years ago pivoted into being an entrepreneur coach. And you might think like, wow, those sound like two completely different worlds. The transition was actually easier than you would think. And one thing that I see from a lot of people is like this fear of that reinvention, this fear of that pivot. And I actually was talking about this with a friend today too. It's like we hold on to what we know because it's there, and we're afraid of that reinvention or that pivot. It's almost like because like we don't have the faith that that new path is going to work out for us. So we hold on to something that we don't want, something that's mediocre, something that doesn't pay us as much as we're worth, a bad relationship, right? Like we hold on to all these things because they're here. And it's like we don't have the faith that the universe will deliver to us greatness. And as someone that let go of an 8-year business overnight, I literally shut my fashion business down over a course of 72 hours.
I remember that.
My mom found out about it on Facebook because I forgot to tell her because it happens quickly. You have to, being an entrepreneur requires so much faith.
Yes.
Because it's going to require you to let go of that mediocrity and trust that that greatness that you desire, that vision that you have on the inside of you is coming. You have the capacity to create it for yourself, but you can't do that. You can't step into that reinvention if you're obsessed with what's currently in your life. So my words of wisdom would be, let go.
Yes.
Let go of the mediocrity, let go of where you've been, let go of the past, let go of what's not working for you, and know that whatever that thing is that you're dreaming of is there for you. It's available for you. The second you asked for it, the universe delivered it.
Yes.
But you have to let go. You have to be willing to create that space in order for it to show up.
And they keep saying the devil that you know. Just imagine the word devil. I mean, just imagine what people have in their mind. And because again, the brain wants to keep you in the comfort zone. So you won't feel anxiety and overwhelm. But like we always say, miracles come out when you get out of that comfort zone. So, and we have both experienced that. So
yeah, I'm constantly letting go of what doesn't align for me, what doesn't work for me, what I've outgrown. I left Manhattan during COVID.
Yes.
Like I thought I was going to live there for the rest of my life, and it just wasn't. It clearly wasn't aligned anymore. And so, just don't be afraid to let go of where you're at, to open up the doors for what it is you really, really, really want.
Yeah, since I met Bri in the last few years, I think she moved to 4 different states. Yes, 4 different states. And I won't be surprised if next week she tell me, oh, I'm moving to Australia, it's just like or I'm moving to Egypt. Well, Egypt will be easy because I'll give you a space to live, so.
People have already started asking, because I only moved to Tulsa. I only committed to moving to Tulsa for a year. I'm 6 months in. And so people are already asking like, oh, are you going to stay? I'm like, I don't know. I got 6 months left. We'll see. Maybe not.
I know you are very intentional. You go with your intuition and you're very intentional about every move that you do. Bri, it has been such a pleasure having you on my podcast. And I knew it's going to be that way. So just like, that's why I was like really looking for this. So thank you so much for being here today. I really appreciate your presence. I really appreciate all the wisdom that you shared with my listeners.
Thank you. I appreciate you. I mean, you've been such a fierce advocate for me since 2014. And I adore you. I love you so much. Thank you.
And you know, I do the same, ditto, right? So Bri Seeley, again, her Instagram is Bri Seeley and her website is briseeley.com. And by the way, she has a great podcast that is very successful called the Success Diaries, right? So she has, her episodes, just please go and listen to them. So thank you all for being with us today. This is your host, Sahar Andrade. And as I always end my podcast, I believe that we all have a genius inside of us that we just need to bring to the surface, that we all have a light inside of us that we need to bring out either by ourselves or with the help of someone else. So it can not only lighten our path, but lighten the path for the people that are walking before us, the people that are walking with us, and the people that are walking behind us. We can all do this together. My Reinventor tribe, thank you for being here. And again, this is your host, Sahar Andrade. You can reach me on Instagram at saharthereinventcoach.com or my website, reinventyourselftogreatness.com. All what I'm going to say, stay safe, and we are going to be out of here. Thank you again, Bri.